Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my game number 314. I was white here and played e4. My opponent played c5. So we get a Sicilian, and I was hoping to maybe show some points from a recent series I've been doing on the Sicilian, but he played knight c6, and this is not a line we've gotten to yet. This often leads into the Kalashnikov or Sveshnikov variations with a later e5, but for now, normal moves are happening. d4, pawn takes, and knight takes will get into an open Sicilian. And now my opponent plays knight f6, which is the most popular move here. It is possible to play e5 immediately. That would be the Kalashnikov. You see that's the fifth choice here on the list. But knight f6 is a good choice, putting pressure on the e-pawn and forcing me to defend, and therefore blocking my c-pawn from coming forward. And now, once again, e5 can be played here, and that's the Sveshnikov. You see, that's the second choice. If d6 is played here, then we've just transposed into a classical Sicilian, where normally the classical Sicilian is played with the d6 first and knight f6 later, but it can be played in either order. But my opponent plays g6, and now we're in a different kind of opening. This is a type of accelerated dragon, where the main idea is that black is deferring the advance of the d-pawn so that later he can play d5 in one move. And if he gets away with that, then he gains a tempo. And you'll see that actually happening in the game. So I play an imprecise move already right here, f3. I could just go ahead and place my bishop on e3, which is the move I want to play. Normally, in these positions, the d-pawn has been moved. The bishop supports the knight on g4, so knight g4 can be played, harassing the bishop. But after bishop e3, knight g4 is not possible because my queen's guarding that square, so there's no way he can hit that. It's this the d-pawn is blocking the bishop, so he can't land a knight on g4. So I can just play bishop e3 right away, even though if you listen to my live commentary, I didn't notice that. So I play f3 to keep the knight out of the square. It wasn't going to, so bit of a wasted move or a tempo loss. He plays bishop g7. Now I play bishop e3. And then right here, if he plays d6, we'll have transposed back into a Sicilian dragon, just a mainline Sicilian dragon. But he's not doing that. He still has this idea of playing the move d5 in one go, and he castles, which is actually a good move here. So, and now I really need to stop this idea. The move I have to play to maintain some kind of advantage for white is bishop to c4, to stop this idea of him pushing the pawn to d5 in one move. If he can get away with that, then he'll have an edge because he'll have a tempo up against normal lines in the Sicilian. So, but I didn't play that. I played queen d2. And so he plays d5 right away, and you can see there it goes. And black has the advantage because of that tempo that he's gained. So we're pretty much out of the opening book here. We're down to just a few games. Let's just look at the notation tab. I took his knight, although I probably should have just castled first. He takes back, and then I push on with e5. This was my idea, was to be able to exchange and then maybe get a pair of pawns here that will block out the bishop. And my plan works for a little bit, although you see that the engine prefers black, possibly because well, he's got open lines here, and these pawns are mobile. He's always threatening to push c4, c5, and then d4, forking my pieces. So black has a lot of activity in this position and is better. But he just blocks my e-pawn for the moment with e6 and shores up his center. And now I develop bishop e2, he plays a5, and I castle. So normal stuff. Now he pushes on with c5, and I think with this move you can start to see black's advantage. He's got more space in the center here. He's got this threat of d4. It's interesting, the engine, oh no. Well, rook b8, the engine thinks that's a good move too, but it's not such a huge difference. This is also good. So I move my bishop back to f2. I have to avoid this fork that's coming. And he plays bishop a6. And we get into a real tactical sequence here shortly. I play knight b5, which is maybe not the best move. But a lot of times you want to come in here with the knight that looks like a good square. It's just that he can take advantage of my play here with the correct moves. He starts out with queen b8. Maybe, yeah, the engine is suggesting he can start undermining these pawns immediately. I think these pawns look good in terms of shutting out his bishop, but Black has an active plan here of undermining these pawns and freeing his bishop, and then this will be a very strong piece. We'll see that happening later in the game. And the chess engine is saying, well, Black should just get on with that plan right away, playing either f6 or g5, these moves, going after those pawns. Okay, but he played queen b8, still keeping an advantage, and now I drop my knight in here. And maybe this was a mistake. Look at this. Yeah, already there's a tactic, which is, I was completely oblivious to this idea, but he can play knight takes e5. It's really interesting that he can sack a piece already and keep an advantage. So I'm going to take back, and then he's going to take with the bishop, yeah. And now, how do I save my knight? My knight is trapped. All these squares are covered. So my best move is knight takes f7. Rook takes, and he's a pawn up, and he's got an active position, and Black is doing well there. So, so it's knight d6 move. It looks good, but if the knight ever gets undermined, if these pawns disappear, normally, you know, you can keep a knight there, and at worst, you just lose one pawn when you gets exchanged off. And I saw that the knight was not getting exchanged off immediately anyway. There's no piece that can attack it immediately. But I didn't think of a sacrifice on e5. Very interesting tactical idea. Okay, my opponent didn't spot that. He played bishop takes e2, just trading bishops. And then queen takes b2, grabbing a pawn here. And now this is not so great. Now I can get back into the game a little bit. I start off on the right foot, rook b1, kicking the queen. Queen goes to a3. And now here's the move. Queen b5 is a strong move here. Just invading with the queen with the tempo on the knight, and doing it while his queen is out of play, and my king is relatively secure. So I've got a queen and a knight, and maybe more pieces can join in the attack soon. So after queen b5, let's just look at this variation. This was my last chance to really have an advantage here, so I want to check it out. It says rook a b8 or queen to c3. Queen c3 just gives up the knight. I wonder why he can't defend the knight. Yeah, both those moves just lose a piece, it seems. So if he plays a defensive move, like say this rook, and I have rook b3, and his queen is so okay, this queen b5 move is a double threat. I'm threatening to take the knight, and I'm threatening to trap his queen, which has, after rook b3, the queen has no squares to go to. So queen b5 is a star move. But anyway, I didn't find queen b5. I played rook b3, chasing his queen. I thought getting the queen to this square on a4, which is the only move, would be an advantage to me. It gets him away from attacking. Oh, it gets the queen away from supporting this pawn. I was thinking maybe I can grab the c pawn here in the right circumstances. But it doesn't work out. Anyway, I continued with rook b7 here. White should play c4. It's an idea. Also, the queen on a4 is looking at this pawn, so I have to be careful. I've chased the queen actually to a better square, I think. Anyway, rook b7 was played, and he just grabbed over here. Very exciting. I thought, you know, he's just losing a piece here. But a lot of tactics break out on the board at the moment. So this is a good point to maybe pause the video and see if you can figure out what's going on. I'm going to just take the knight, which is my best choice anyway, according to the engine. But Black has good compensation for the piece. So if you want to see what Black is going to play after I take the knight, see if you can figure out everything that's going on the board here. Okay, yeah, if you want to take a look at that, pause the video. I'm going to take the knight, and then he takes on e5. That was a little too quick. He takes on e5. And it's a double threat once again. He's attacking my knight, but he's also attacking the rook in the corner. I didn't even notice this. So I do play the best move here. I played g3, hitting his queen. And now his queen has to go somewhere. He chooses the best square. He goes over here, back to a4, hitting my rook. So that's a logical move. So now this rook is under attack. This rook is under attack. And I was completely oblivious to the fact that this rook was under attack, actually. And I play knight b5, just shutting out the queen from the attack on this rook. But that loses a rook. So this is... the best I can hope for is an even game with rook takes f7. And now if bishop takes the rook in the corner, how do I survive this? Queen takes e6. I set up threats on black's king. You can see there's a really tactical position here. So the king goes to h8, and queen to e7, threatening to win the rook. King comes back to g8, and a repetition occurs. And so that's how I can draw the game here. I'm down material. I'm down a whole rook. Not a whole rook. I'm down the exchange and a pawn. Okay. So the best I have is a repetition there. So that's how I could have escaped, but I didn't notice my rook in the corner was hanging. So I play knight b5, saving my other rook, but then this rook goes, and now black is just winning. I try to complicate things a little bit. I grab a pawn, hit his rook, and he doesn't always find the best moves, but he does good enough. He simplifies to a position where the material's even, and he's just 2 pawns up. And I threaten checkmate on the back rank, but he defends, and it's pretty much all over at this point. I try and round up some pawns, but this move here was my last mistake. This move... rook to a7, because it put the king and the rook on this diagonal. So he spots that, plays the tactic, bishop d4 check, forking those pieces, and I resign at this point. So pretty interesting game, a lot of tactics there, and a little bit about the opening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.